the comparison between Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. I love it. I hate most Tom Brady comparisons. Why? Because anybody that's trying to make a Tom Brady comparison is typically trying to make it based on measurables. Yeah. But Tom Brady's greatest attribute were not his measurables. They weren't his height, they weren't his 40 time, they weren't his arm. He was a 6th-round pick for a reason. Amongst others, he did not start the entirety of that last year at Michigan. So if you're going to make a comparison to Tom Brady, you better not use it with measurables. You better not make a comparison to Tom Brady based off measurables. What can you make the comparison based off of? Making everybody around you better. Yes. Now, most people do not have the ability to look beyond the tape or look beyond the numbers and say, wait, what is that intangible I can't put my hands on? But when you do that, you say Joe Burrow's greatest attribute isn't his speed. It's not his arm strength. It's not his accuracy. For whatever reason, he walks into Baton Rouge, walks onto LSU's campus, and a team that lost 4 or 5 games a year before goes undefeated. For the first time in the history of college football, has a 15-win, no-loss season. For whatever reason, Joe Burrow walks into Cincinnati and takes a 2-14 team 2 years later to a Super Bowl. It's not because of his tangibles. It's because Joe Burrow makes everybody around him better. The person who did that best and does that best in the National Football League is Tom Brady. I do not like most Tom Brady comparisons, but the Joe Burrow Tom Brady comparison, that one, Dave, I'm here for.
I despise it. I hate it a lot. And here's the funny thing. Like it's got nothing to do with how I feel about Joe Burrow. I believe deep in the core of my soul in Joe Burrow. And some of the stuff you're saying, I hear. The intangibles, the way that he can inspire guys. Like if clutch is a gene, he's got it, right? Like never flappable, always delivers in the big moment. Got one of the worst franchises in the league to a Super Bowl year 2, and I'll go on record and say he'll be back in that game multiple times before he retires. Like I think that's probably true. Yep. I hate it because it's just what is it? Who does it serve? What does it serve? It's not fair to anyone. It's not fair to Joe Burrow to compare him to the best player to ever live. It's not fair to Tom Brady to compare him to a guy that's never won a pro championship when he's won 7 of them. What does this serve really, other than to make people mad, which is probably what we're doing right here? And honestly, it's toxic. Like you brought up, did you remember how mad all 4 of us got when you brought up MJ and LeBron a minute ago? Just like, here we go. And why is that? It's like it creates this toxic environment where there's a group of people that love MJ and remember MJ. And then there's a group of people that love LeBron, and they'll never agree, right? And it's like, well, if you love LeBron more than MJ, it's just because you don't even remember Michael Jordan's career. And now all of a sudden, you're rooting on LeBron James's downfall because somebody had the audacity to compare him to your favorite player. That's what happens when you do stuff like this. All of a sudden, people are like, oh, you think you're Tom Brady now? Punk. Okay. See what you can, like, it's toxic. And so I hate it. And it's got nothing to do with how good I think Joe Burrow is. I think he's the man. It's just like, why don't we pump the brakes and just say, Joe Burrow is one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Honestly, if you take Tom and Rodgers out of the equation, so we're not talking old heads here. If we're just talking guys below the age of 28, who has a better, other than Mahomes? It's Mahomes, and then Burrow's got as good of a case as anybody. You could argue that he's the second best young quarterback in the NFL right now, and that's good enough for me. We ain't got to bring the 45-year-old GOAT into the conversation. It just doesn't serve anyone.
Stop comparing people to Tom Brady. Dave, you asked who does this serve. Whoever put this on the headline is who it serves.
Yep.
That's it. It's nonsense. We're so addicted to comps that we will diminish someone's greatness and elevate others past all of the accomplishments that you have to reach to be spoken about in that air, just to have these comparative conversations. And it's nonsense. Stop comparing people to Tom Brady. Tom Brady has won more championships than any organization in the NFL. He is the greatest player of all time. There's not someone close, and this is why he should have retired, because now people are starting to pick at this, and it's not Joe Burrow's fault. Joe, and I'm sure Joe wants nothing to do with this at all. And I'm sure if you asked him, he would probably disagree, as competitive and as rageful of competition as he is. The problem I have with this is there becomes this idea that like an intangible is the only thing that you need to reach the level that Tom Brady is. And Tom Brady has dealt with this throughout his entire career. And now that he looks vulnerable again, we are starting to have these conversations. People always talk about how athletic Tom Brady is. Tom Brady is not a great athlete. He is a world-class athlete. He spends all day fixing and working on his body, millions of dollars, eating avocado ice cream and whatever else, so that he can go out there and perform at the highest level. Every athlete is different. Everybody is different. That's true. But you don't win 7 championships because you rolled off the couch eating Fritos and Mountain Dew and decided to pick up a ball because you're Uncle Rico and you can throw it over the mountains. Like, the comparison is just silly. Joe Burrow, but I'm glad that this happened for one reason and one reason only, what you ended with. If we're comparing Joe Burrow to Tom Brady, can we stop putting him in the lower level of category of the top? Like, it's Mahomes, it's Burrow, it's Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Can we, and then it's slot down. If you want to put Lamar up there because of MVP, we'll allow it. Mm-hmm. But like then there's a step down. Because if we're comparing him to Tom Brady, then we got to start putting some respect on what he's actually doing in the league right now.
Fair.
And I hear what all you guys are saying, and we shouldn't be comparing anybody to Tom Brady. And especially when you talk about accolades and stats, because, I mean, you can find anything, any stat to make you look good against anybody. First 3 years, first 2 years, whatever. You can find some of that, right? But just like you spoke on, right, it's some things that you just cannot teach.
Yep.
You just can't teach it. It's God-given, right? And I truly believe that Joe Burrow and Tom Brady have that it factor of God-given ability of how to lead men.
Yep.
Right? Tom was in the 6th round. Joe Burrow was his first pick overall to the worst franchise at the time. That's why you're the first pick. And he has changed that whole thing around. Strictly because when he takes the football field, everybody in that organization, everybody on that team believes we have a chance, right? And that is the Joe Burrow effect, and that's the Tom Brady effect. Whether in New England, whether he signed, and once we seen him sign to Tampa, we like, they going to the Super Bowl, right? He ain't have to throw a pass, right?
And
but we like, that's the Tom Brady effect. He going to get and even when you hear their teammates talk, you hear anybody that played with Tom Brady talk, they talk about how such a great leader, how he led men, all that, right? And that is what Joe Burrow has. And I believe whoever came, Joe Burrow, that's just a little swag out, you know.
I like it.
I'm curious.
I'm a fan.
So Joe Burrow, like this to me, whoever put this out is just basically letting everybody know that JoJo is that dude.
But and
we know he's that dude.
Of course he's that dude.
But
I love JoJo.
Yeah.
Okay? I was advocating.
It's a thing now.
Like, not that it needed to be advocated for, but like there were people doubting whether he was capable because he only had one great year in college. Like, I knew he was going to be that dude. I love JoJo. But couldn't you make that same intangible argument for Josh Allen? Don't you think when Josh Allen's on the sorry.
I think
Don't you think that when I know you think it's going down. I'm sorry. My mistake.
I'm just saying leader of men too.
Yes, but you don't think Josh Allen is a leader of men?
Not like JoJo.
Not like Joe. Here's my thought, though. I have 2 thoughts. One, I don't hate comparisons for this reason. Like, we do comparisons. Is this team as good as the 72 Dolphins? Is the undefeated Patriots? Would they have been this? Would they have been that? Sha'Carri Richardson, is she the next FloJo? Arian Knighton, is he the next Usain Bolt? We don't have to necessarily go all the way to the accomplishment to say, like, oh, we see some similar characteristics.
Well, yeah, because greatness has similar characteristics.
Correct.
But that's why I say Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson.
So this is why I'm
leaders. How about, we're talking about winners, how about Joe Montana? Did we forget that he was the undisputed GOAT before Tom Brady beat Atlanta?
Here's why I stay in this weird lane, because I believe that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson are more talented quarterbacks than Joe Burrow. Just like I believe Aaron Rodgers, you could argue Donovan. You can't really argue Donovan McNabb. He's number 2 overall pick. Several other people are more talented than Tom Brady, if you just want to talk about natural physical talent. So then you're like, okay, if you Aaron Rodgers, are more talented. You, McNabb, are more talented. What in the world makes Brady better? If you, Mahomes, no, not Mahomes, he's actually won a Super Bowl. If you, Josh Allen, if you, Lamar Jackson, if y'all are more talented, what makes Burrow better? That, to me, Joy, is why I'm like, oh, there's a comparison. Because what Tom Brady lacked and what Joe Burrow lacks, if you will, compared to the other groups, they make up for in the intangible. What's the intangible? Oh, they share it. That's why I'm like, there's a comp.
But my argument is a lot of great players share the intangible of being able to lead men. What makes Tom Brady different is he led 7 groups of those men to championships. There are a lot of great leaders. And I please, I want to be very clear, I am not slandering Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow, and I agree with you that he has that intangible. But to jump to comparison to Tom Brady, rather than saying Joe Burrow is an outstanding leader, immediately creates this conversation of, is Joe Burrow now going to be able to be capable of leading 7 teams to a championship and winning them?
And we're not necessarily saying he's going to lead 7 teams, right? And it's kind of hard to explain, but it's really just that it factor. It's when Joe Burrow steps into the huddle, and he stepped into the huddle with a team that took him first overall that was not good, and now you are back-to-back winning seasons coming off of a Super Bowl appearance, right? It's strictly because of the it factor he has to lead men. A lot of these quarterbacks came into really good situations and still couldn't do what Joe Burrow's doing. And I'm not even talking about stats. I'm just talking about leading.
Yes, because Cincinnati was terrible. I agree with you. That's why I constantly say, why are we not mentioning Joe Burrow when we say Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen? He's the one that took a bad situation all the way to the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line.
Dave, final thought.
I think he's changing that. Give it another month. We'll see what happens in the playoff. I think he's right there in that category. I will put a little more respect on Joe Burrow's natural ability. He was the #1 overall pick. You don't get #1 overall just because you have some it to you. He's got his people knock his arm. That man is Houdini in the pocket, and he can put the ball wherever the hell he wants to pretty much any time. He is a gifted quarterback. And so, he wasn't pick 199. He was pick #1. You don't do that because of how you interview coaches, purely. That's not the only reason why.
No.
And so
Baker Mayfield was the #1.
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
They have made mistakes.
That's fair. I still think it's a different and that's why I would love it if these guys could be their own thing.
Yes.
That's just not possible, bro. You get in a different industry.
Okay, fine.
You know what I'm saying?
If we can't do that, if we can't help ourselves, can we please just put Tom on the shelf? Can we just leave him? Because Montana was up there. Yeah. Montana had his shelf for a long time, and nobody ever thought anyone was going to come. We didn't have to have the conversation, and then Tom came along, and we was like, all right,
here's my thought.
Now that you've had the accomplishments, we will now have this conversation, and now we have slid Tom above.
The only reason I don't think we can put Tom on the shelf is because outside of Tom, there is nobody to me that has the it factor that Joe has. So Joe has no other comp but Tom. That is to me why, I have to reach for Tom, because I can't say that Peyton had it. I can't say that Rodgers had it. I can't say that Eli had it. Tom is the only one that, in my mind, has that same it that Joe has.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.